Hello, my friends. Hope you're having a great Monday night. I'm a few minutes early, but my voice was holding out, so I decided to come while it was good. Yeah, I think I have a spring cold, but it's okay. I think we're going to be all right. It's just a cold, nothing serious. The weather's been so beautiful last week, and now it's freezing this week, and yeah. Anyway, we are going to make a card tonight, and we're going to be working with, and I'm sorry I sound like this so deep and nasally, but it's okay. We can do it. If I talk quietly, it's not bad. Um, we're working with Coffee with Friends. Let me get that over there, right? I'll bring you down and show you the whole thing, but this is a really fun stamp set, and I wanted to talk a little bit about coloring, and we automatically think, oh, let's color with the blends. And part of the problems is with the blends, one, it's a little trickier, and two, you have to have all the colors. And I wanted to show you how you could actually use this stamp set even if you don't have a whole bunch of colors, or if you just have the watercolor set. So let me bring you down and we will take a peek. First thing I want to show you is this is the card we're going to start with, this one. And then we've got some other options. So we'll see how long I can hold out tonight. If not, I'll do it tomorrow. We'll see how the voice sounds. So the sketch for that is right here. And so let's work on that, all right? And I have it so I can actually see the colors the sizes this time. So it won't be as tricky as it was last week. All right, so we are going to start with our card base. And here is our card base. It's 8.5 by 11, cut at 5.5, and scored at 4 1/4. So that makes our card base, just like that, all right? Then we're going to take, remember we prepped all of our paper using the designs I shared with you last week, so make sure you have that one, that you cut the 12 by 12 into 4-inch strips, and then again at 5 1/4. So I have my pieces all ready to go. So here is my 4 by 5 1/4, and that's going to go right on the front. Notice it fits perfectly on my card. So let me put that down with my seal. Pop that on there. There we go. Then the next layer, it's yellow in the drawing, but it's actually pale pink in our card. And this is 2 by 5 1/4. Notice it fits all the way across, the same size as our pattern paper. So I'm going to put that down. And what's nice about this plaid is it gives you some lines, so you can line up your paper nice and straight. And we're going to pop that right in there. I'm going to use that white line right here to help me. And then my edges, perfect. All right, so there's that. Now it's time for this one. And that is a 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 piece of regular basic white, okay? All right, so let's move you over here a little bit. Let's talk about our stamp set now. This stamp set doesn't come with dies or anything. It's just a really great stamp set. Sentiments, sometimes you just have to reheat your coffee one more time and try again. My morning gets like that often. You've got this. Thinking of you and coffee too. Coffee with a friend is like happiness in a cup. Let's get together soon. I liked this one of the 2 friends on the bench, and because it kind of helps me show you some tricks in case you don't have it. You can use, it's not going to be a ton of water, so you could use a regular stamp pad. Because we're not really using watercolors, we're using watercolor pencils. I'm using assortment 2. I will tell you, I have both 1 and 2. 1 isn't here, it's with Gracie. But it's great with kids too, if you want to color with them, because they're really, I'm going to show you, they're going to look really cool. And blender pens, they come 3 to a pack. So you need those. And I'm going to use the Memento because it will show it better for you. I've prepped my stamps by I've added the cling to the back so I can tell what my stamps say, especially on these sentiments, because they're little and they're really hard to tell. When you look at those, it's super hard to see what is it? What are they saying? Let me get down here where you can see it, right? But because I have the little cling on the back, now I know what they say. Ooh, wicked glare. Okay. All right, so I am ready to stamp, and I'm going to make sure that I get good ink on all the parts. And you'll notice on my card, I put thinking of you up at the top. So I want to make sure that I have room for that. So I'm going to put that on before I put these guys on. So I can tell that it doesn't take up much space. And I just made a really big boo-boo. Let me bring you down. Oh, I can't bring you down. Can you see? Hey, Susan. I was stamping this and I looked up and so I hit it twice. So my H is in there twice. We're just going to flip this little baby over. Reheat the coffee and start again, right? Okay. So there's thinking of you. Now I'm ready to put my ladies down. There we are. And you want to let them, whoops, sorry, that sounded really loud. You want to let it dry a little bit. So you kind of pick up your space, get ready before you start your coloring. I'm going to get rid of the sketch because you can see we've got all the pieces, so we don't need that anymore. And now I can zoom in when I need to with this to show you better. Let me zoom us in a little bit. Okay, so there's our stamp set. Now, when I look at this, let me bring this in so that you can see it over here too. When I look at this, you're going to think, well, you do not have a single skin tone. I don't care what her skin tone is. You don't have any. And I don't. If you look at the back of the box, it kind of gives you an idea. And unless she's extremely jaundiced, crushed curry's not going to work. The Cajun craze isn't really going to be good. I can't really blend it. So what am I going to do? Well, I just gave them long sleeves and I didn't color their face or their legs and I just left it. I could have put socks on them, but by giving them long sleeves, it's really not so noticeable. So even though they're sleeveless in here, they're not once I get done with them. And I took some of this. Now, this is how we color. So cool. You're going to lay the color down. You don't have to be really fussy. You're just going to quickly put it down and you're thinking, that does not look pretty. That looks, I can see all the lines. Really, that looks kind of basically messy, right? The blender pen changes our whole world. So you bring the blender pen in and you gently go in one direction and you'll see that it, well, blends all your color together and it looks really smooth. Now you don't want to scrub. You'll notice I'm just going down with it. If you start going back and forth with a heavy hand, the paper kind of balls up underneath it. So we don't want to do that. We want to be kind of careful, light-handed. And then when you're done, you're going to take a piece of scrap paper. And I cleaned up my desk, so now I don't have a lot. A piece of scrap paper, and you're just going to wipe off the tip of the blender pen a few times. So if I go in to do yellow or something, I'm not going to end up with that teal in the middle. The only thing I did to modify this a little is I took my little black pen and I just drew the cuff. So now it looks like she has long sleeves on. Then I did her hair bow to match. Right? And then for hair, I used Did I use Cajun? I think I used Cajun Craze on this lady. And again, the same kind of thing, but I did not color her skin. But it really didn't, I bet you didn't notice that till I told you. And again, I'm not really worrying about how this looks. I'm just getting color down. Then I'm going to take my blender pen, which is the most forgiving tool you will have ever used. And it literally just smears the color in together. It looks amazing, right? My coffee, I can notice I still have a little bit of that Cajun Craze from the hair. And I could do that with the brush, with the coffee. I can also do this. If I don't want the coffee really dark, but I just want a little bit of this, notice the pen gets a little bit on it, and then come over and use it as a paintbrush, right? And then wipe you off. Make sure it's clean. You don't ever want to put it away if it's still leaving color, because it will stain it and it will stay there. Now it may stain, but it's not going to come off on your next color. And then I went with some Flirty Flamingo for this lady. And again, she's got long sleeves on. And we color her in. Not worrying about, are we getting lines or... now, once it's dry, you'll notice I let the blue one sit for a minute. I can come back and add a little bit more to it. Blender pen, no scrubbing. Now, when I did my first one, I used the cherry cobbler on the bench, and I think it was almost too much. So I'm probably going to use a different color now. I can come back in with this Coastal Cabana and kind of pick up the highlights a little, really work on my shading. Adding a little bit more. My hair, I used crushed curry on this lady's hair, this friend. I can blend more than one color together. I will tell you, if you have box number 1, there's a lot more options. There's more pencils in there, and they do blend well together. Blend. I'm going to go with good old garden green for the bench now. So the bench is probably the biggest thing that I'm coloring. And I'm literally just popping color in here, kind of rough, no fancy schmancy. I do go in one direction. I find it's easier to blend it rather than being all kind of crazy direction. So I tend to go in one direction. The longest space that I have is the direction I go, if that makes sense. So like this this upright is longer this way, and then this seat, we're going to go this way. And under here too, that's the bottom. So that's probably going to be a little darker because it's underneath. So I'm going to put a little bit more color there. And then back to my blender and bring it all in. And you can see how it brightens the colors and it smooths out the lines. And because this isn't putting anything down really, it's clear. Again, you don't have to be super fussy, but it looks like you spent hours. And it helps because it carries some of that extra that I put down and fills in any spaces. So there's our bench. I'm going to keep the green on here. I'm not going to worry. And I'm going to do all the shades of green that I have in my grass down here. So I have this one, which is the bench green, but then I also have, this is Granny Apple Green, and I'm going to put that over the top of it, which really doesn't look like I did anything pretty, but give me a minute. All right, and now, hi Diane. Glad to see you ladies here. And notice we're kind of bringing this all in together. Now there wasn't any grass drawn or stamped there, but I'm going to fill in because there might be something in between them. And because I have it on my blender, I can just kind of bring it around over in here. There's our grass. Now I'm going to wipe you off. And I have to do their pants. So this lady's going to get some purple, which is gorgeous grape. And because we're all matchy-matchy here, she's going to have grape shoes too. And I forgot this one right here, the bottom of her shirt. So we come in and we fix our pants, right? It honestly looks like I actually spent lots and lots of time doing this. I didn't, right? We just got to do this lady's pants. Let's do those, then we'll be done. Let's give her, is that going to clash? Let's give her some blue. I could put a design on these if I wanted, like I could have done stripes or polka dots. I can do as much detail as I want. Okay. And then we're ready to add this to the front of our card. And then I just grabbed a few of these sweet little dots. They are ombre matte. And I'm going to go with the blue this time. And when you're putting dots down, 3 is the magic number that looks good. I don't know why. I do know why, but just put 3. And you will like it. And now we have our card done, right? All right, what if you say, well, yeah, that's all great, but I don't really want to color it all. But I really like that stamp. What can I do with it? Well, let's zoom you out a little. Let's say we go with our crumb cake as our card base. So this started at 8.5 by 11. Cut it down at 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. We're going to take this piece of the pattern paper and pop that on. This is a 4 by 5 1/4, same size. All right. We're still going to use the same card, the same sentiment, all the same thing, but we're going to get a totally different look. Because I want to get a little bit of highlight, I am going to go with some Calypso Coral in here just to give it a little brightness. That's the 2 by 5 1/4 that we had on the other card. So this is the same sketch. Same sketch, right? And then we have this. Whoops. It would be nice if I put it on straight. Now we have this one. Instead of coloring this, we are going to let this blend in a little bit. So let's clean our stamp. My Stampin' Scrub is my all-time favorite. I've had this one since way back when, and I love it. And again, I'm going to do the same, but this time, instead of the Memento, I am going to use, and I have two choices, and I'm going to show you both of them. I can use the Early Espresso, or I can do the exact same tone on tone. This is Crumb Cake, and I'm going to do that first because I can stamp Early Espresso after. So let's take our ladies, and we're going to stamp them in the Crumb Cake, okay? And we're going to pop that right down here. Subtle, but I like it. I'm going to do Thinking of You. Okay, so that's one idea. Let's see if we like it better with Early Espresso. I'm going to flip it over and use the back. And because this is a darker brown, I can get away with using it. And I'm going to stamp her right there. And you get to choose which one you like better. I kind of like both. I can see where they're both really cool. They're not going to get colored in at all. They're just going to be, the stamp is going to be all by itself. So we have that. Let's bring you down so you can see it up close. All right, we have that, or that. You think what you decide which one you like. And then I'm going to grab some of these sweet little dots. These are still part of that. You like the darker one, the Early Espresso? It shows up definitely better. All right, let's go with Early Espresso for today. And because we did this really basic and it's not a crazy one, I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back. I don't need all that many. Come on. Susan, you voted first, so your vote wins. And I'm going to take some of these and pop these guys on here. And no coloring needed, and still a really cool card, right? Okay, well, thanks for coming tonight, listening to me sound like this. Let's hope this goes away quick this week and I don't sound this way all week long. I will be back with more. Have some fun. Bye.